Hey there, and welcome to the She Calls Her Shots podcast. Every week, we chat through different business building topics that will help you gain clarity around your goals, find inspiration in your journey, and also help you create a life and a business that you love. My name is Krista, and I'm a wedding and brand photographer and your go-to no-fluff business coach. In these episodes, we talk through both the tactical strategies, habits, and the mindset work that will help you take those really big leaps. And we always focus on the real talk and the behind the scenes of what it takes to create a sustainable and a thriving business. Because let's be honest, the work isn't always glamorous, but it's always worth it. So girlfriend, let's make some moves and start calling our own shots. Hello, friend, and welcome back to this episode of the She Calls Her Shots podcast. I am recording this today on a Friday, and I have had a busy week. There has been 3 podcast interviews that I have been on for other people's podcasts, and it's always such a joy to be able to get to use my journey and my story and share that to help inspire other people. And it just gets me even more excited and fired up to show up for you here today on this podcast, on my own podcast. And something that I've been reflecting on lately has been this idea of how to eliminate overwhelm in our business, right? If you've followed me for a while, if you've listened to the podcast, you know that that's a pretty core fundamental thing that I focus on, is how to eliminate overwhelm. It's something that I work on a lot with my one-on-one clients. It's a goal of mine to continue to teach and help others with inside of my group coaching program. And so it's a really fundamental pillar of how I show up for others, is helping them eliminate the overwhelm. And so I had this idea to do a series, and I'm excited because I've never done a series like this on the podcast. I've always just kind of done one-off solo episodes, but in the next few solo episodes, you're going to see that there's going to be this series around how we can eliminate overwhelm from certain types of processes and things in our business. So today specifically, we're going to dive into 7 ways that we can eliminate overwhelm from our marketing strategy. And this one's really important to me because inside of Amplify with my one-on-one clients, marketing tends to be a topic that comes up a lot because, at the end of the day, it's the thing that we're continuously doing to grow our business, right? It's how we show up online. It's the way that we talk to people. It's the events that we attend. It's the programs that we launch and the offers that we create. And so marketing tends to be something that can hold people up for a while because the process of how to market ourselves can feel really overwhelming. And so in this episode today, we're really going to dive deep into how can we eliminate that overwhelm? How can we take a marketing strategy that feels really good for us and use it to grow a sustainable business that doesn't feel like we have so much resistance towards it, and that doesn't feel like it's a slog to have to implement things day after day or week after week. And so before we jump in, if you are a first-time listener to the show, welcome. I'm so happy that you are here. We also just recently celebrated 100 episodes. So if you are here joining now, just know that there is an entire backlog of episodes that you can listen to help as you grow. If you've been listening for a long time, thank you so much for being here today and for joining me today in this conversation. And I would love to hear from you. If this is a topic that resonates with you, if you want to hear more about how to eliminate overwhelm in marketing, I'd love for you to send me a message on Instagram. You can find me at Hey Krista Marie, or you can just pop over and say hello. I love getting to connect with all of you one-on-one. I'm recording this right now in my office with my dogs asleep next to me on the couch, and it's great and wonderful and lovely, but I know that you're here and you're listening in, and so come and say hello at Hey Krista Marie. So let's go ahead and dive into this topic today. Again, this is something that I feel like I speak about a lot, whether it's with my one-on-one clients or whether it's in the group coaching program, but marketing is something that we all have to face on a regular basis. If we're growing a business, which chances are if you're listening into this episode today, you likely are, marketing is probably something that's pretty top of mind for you. And so I'm going to go through 7 different things today that we can use to start to reframe the way that we think about marketing and to give you an idea of ways that you can think outside of the box to not just get kind of sucked into the typical marketing strategies and processes and tactics that you see everybody else doing. Because I think that's one of the most unique things about marketing is that it has to be personalized. For you to have a marketing strategy that's going to work for you in the long run to build your business, it has to be one that's personalized to you. Because a structured framework or some tried and true thing that someone has sold you around their marketing process or how they built their business is not necessarily going to be the thing that attracts your ideal clients. You could implement all of the steps and all the things that they tell you to do and not see the same results. And so your marketing strategy has to feel personal, and it has to feel like it's something that's sustainable that you can continue to build as time goes on. And I know I get really fired up with these topics. So I know sometimes I can get ahead of myself and I start talking really quickly. I'm going to try really hard today to keep this at a more normal pace, but it's just these topics get me so excited. And so let's go ahead and dive into the first thing that I think is really important to think about when you're thinking about the platforms in which you're showing up on. So if it's Instagram, if it's Pinterest, if it's blogging, like wherever it is that you find yourself showing up on for your marketing, it's really important to first define your intentions around how you're using each of those platforms. So a common thing that I find with most of my clients as creatives, we tend to show up the most on Instagram. It's just the place that feels the most cohesive to our brand. It allows us to show the curated things as well as the behind the scenes, kind of more real life day-to-day things. So Instagram tends to be the place where we all hang out. But when Instagram is your only marketing strategy, that tends to be a pitfall that I see people kind of fall into, is their entire strategy is based around Instagram. And the common things and the common themes that I see when this starts to feel overwhelming and not sustainable is because we're trying to cover all of the marketing pillars, right? Like getting visible, connecting with people, getting people to build trust with our brand. Like we're trying to do all of the marketing pillars and frameworks on this one platform. And that's where I start to see this breakdown start to happen. For example, Instagram can be a really great place to get more visible, to become more visible, get more followers, get more people onto your profile, right? You could have a reel. I just had one that I put up, I think a week or two ago. It's 7 seconds long and it continues to get likes and comments and views. And I'm just watching it grow and grow, right? It can be a place where you get more visibility. The breakdown that happens there is that they're not necessarily going to be more of your ideal clients, right? We have no control over who it is that we're being visible to. So there's a breakdown there and there's a disconnect, because if we're investing all of our energy into becoming more visible on Instagram, and that's our goal for Instagram, we could be putting all of this energy and effort to, yes, get more followers, get more eyes on our profile. But if they're not people who are going to be clients, or if they're not people who are, going to work with you or pay you or like actually be interested in working with you or following you, then is it really worth that time and energy? And it's the same thing, right? Like if we switch it the other way around, the switch that I've made recently, which could be something that this might resonate with you, is what if Instagram instead is a place, if we treat it kind of like our website, right? It's a place online that people can find me. They can come to my page, right? But they already kind of know who I am. They found me somewhere else. Maybe they found me because I guest hosted on another podcast. Maybe they found me because they found my blog or my website. Maybe they found me because we met in real life at an event or something that I did, right? What if instead Instagram is just a place that it's an online place where we can hold some of our more personal parts to us, right? They can come in, they can watch our stories, they can see our grid, see the posts, see the content, kind of short form pieces of content that we're wanting to share with them. But what if we're not so much focused on using Instagram to get that visibility? What if it's just once people know who we are, they can come over to Instagram and see, yep, she's active, she posts pretty regularly, every once in a while she shares stories. I can learn a little bit more about who she is as a person. And what if that's our only intention behind Instagram, right? And I think this is a much more healthy way for us to approach it, is figuring out what are my intentions for using this platform. Because when we try and use it, again, to hit all of the points of marketing, there's usually a breakdown that occurs, because we're going to spend so much time and energy trying to have Instagram work for every single part of the marketing process, but you're going to become really burnt out because it's not going to be the best fit for certain goals. And so asking yourself today, how is it that I want to use these platforms? What do I want the intention behind it to be? And what do I want people to understand when they come to my platform, right? Like, what is it that I want them to really understand and know and use this piece of information, right? Like, this is just a type of marketing. It's a piece of information that people can gather. Maybe it's just that they can come and see that I'm active, I'm present, they can get to know me a little bit, and that's it. Maybe I don't need to spend hours upon hours of trying to create viral reels or trying to be seen or trying to get 1 million likes on my posts. What if I'm just posting the things that resonate, that are of high quality, so that when that person comes to my profile, they can consume that content, right? And it's specifically made for them. So I think that will help you just put yourself in a much healthier place with Instagram and any other platforms you're using, is when you really define how it is that you want to use these platforms. And then when you have a better understanding of how you want to use the platforms that you're showing up on and that you're marketing on, the more that you can focus on creating genuine connection with the people that are visiting you on that platform. Right? So if, let's say, using that first example, let's say that you're spending less time creating reels. You now have more time that you can invest into getting to know the people who are following you, getting to engage with the people who are in your warm circle and your audience, right? If you have more time because you're not having to create reels and share multiple posts per day, if you're kind of trading that off and instead saying, you know what, I'm going to actually spend time using this platform as a way to engage with people. I'm going to actually visit people's profiles, read their content, send them a DM, connect with them, get to know them. And this tends to be a big switch for people, because sometimes when I talk to people about an Instagram marketing or growth strategy, we get into our heads that it needs to be high quantity, right? Like, oh, how many followers do I need to get? Or how many, it just turns into this cycle of, I need to get so many new people and I need to connect with so many, new people in my audience and grow my audience quickly. But when we slow down and we take the time to say, you know what if it's not about quantity? What if it's about quality? The quality in which I engage with people. What if there's 20 people in my audience that I would love to work with one day, or that I would love to get to know more? What if I took that time that I have now, because I'm not doing other things on Instagram or spending as much time in creation mode? What if I take that time and really get to know these 20 people? What types of opportunities could that not only create for me in my business, but I can promise you, you're going to feel so much more fulfilled as a business owner the more that you develop genuine connections and relationships with people. The more that you can look at Instagram as a place and a platform to truly and authentically engage with your audience and actually spend time getting to know them and investing in them, you are going to feel so much more fulfilled and so much less stressed and panicked trying to keep up with all of the trends that everybody is telling you that you need to keep up with. And so really figuring out, okay, now that I know how I want to use this platform, how can I use it in a way that allows me to create more genuine connections? And really, when we focus less on the results, right, and more on our efforts, this is just like a general business tool that I think is helpful for us all to have, but it's also beneficial to this topic, is reframing the way that we think about and celebrate our efforts and the efforts that we're putting into our business. Raise your hand. I'm raising my hand right now. If you're in the car, if you're driving, don't raise your hand. You can nod your head. But raise your hand if you have ever done this, where as soon as you experience a win in your business, you immediately make it be not enough, right? Like, let's say you're like so excited about booking your next client, and then you book your next client and you celebrate it for about 5 seconds. And then you're like, oh, but I still have X more to go to hit my bigger goal. Right? Like, how quickly do we take our wins and do we turn them into something that's immediately not enough, right? Like, oh, it's great that I got one, but I need more, or I need this next thing in order for me to truly feel fulfilled. We're so quickly like moving on from one and on to the next. And one thing that I always focus on with my clients is how can we focus less on the results that our efforts produce, right? Because our results are never guaranteed. You could pour hours and hours and hours into something, and the results that you hope to expect are not guaranteed. However, the effort that you put in, those hours that you invest into it, the hours that you're investing into growing your skills in some capacity or showing up in a certain way, those efforts are guaranteed, right? You just spent all of that time investing in yourself and your business. So what if we focused more on celebrating those efforts and less on the results that aren't guaranteed in the first place? And when we spend time doing that, we actually start to realize and we get to reframe, you know what? Even if I didn't get the results that I wanted, whether it's from this post, this launch, this, whatever it is, this offer, this thing that I put out, whatever it is that you're putting out, you're able to say, you know what if the end goal of me putting out this piece of content wasn't the results that I was expecting? What if the thing I actually needed was to learn the skills and learn the things that I needed to actually show up in this way? So I'll give you an example because that might be confusing. There was a time where I was launching the membership a couple of years ago. If you've heard me talk about the membership on the podcast, I no longer have the membership. I do have a group coaching program, which I'd love to talk to you about. But there was a point in time a couple of years ago where I was launching the membership, and it was something new. It was a business model that was new to me that I was kind of trying on for size. And in order to launch the membership, I was hosting a series of masterclasses and workshops. And during that time, the whole intention of me doing these masterclasses, not the whole intention, obviously I wanted to provide value to people. That was why I was hosting the free classes in the first place. But part of the reason why I was hosting them was that I was hoping that people would in turn join the membership, right? Like that was kind of the result that I expected was I'm going to host these masterclasses and then I will hopefully get people to join my membership. The interesting thing, looking back on this now, I wish that I would have reframed that, because what I actually got from doing those masterclasses, yes, I did get some people join the membership from them. It's not to say that it didn't have its intended results, but I wish I would have reframed my purpose around it, because what I actually gained from doing those masterclasses, I learned pretty quickly how to go live, right? Like how to show up live, whether it's on Zoom or whether it's on a new program. I learned how to send out those emails, right? Like, hey, join me live. Here's the link. Here's this. Like I learned how to format it. I learned how to put it into an email service provider. I learned how to schedule it and send it so that people would get reminders. I learned the skills of just how to show up live and teach people, which I think that in itself was a crucial skill that I never would have gotten had I not done those masterclasses. And so just this idea of what if we take the result that we think we're looking for, right? Whether it's, oh, I'm going to do this thing and it's going to get me more clients, or I'm going to do this thing and it's going to make me more money. And what if we reframe it to what skills am I learning by doing this? And what this does is it allows us to release the pressure that we have on those results. It allows us to take the pressure off of needing, this is a waste of my time if I don't gain new clients from it. Or, oh, this wasn't worth it. I didn't make any money after it, right? It automatically enables us to release that pressure on the results that, again, are not guaranteed, and allows us to focus instead on what am I learning? What skills am I learning? How am I investing in myself by just showing up and doing the thing, right? And how much more fulfilling will that feel, knowing that each time you show up, you don't have this pressure on the results that it needs to provide. You're just grateful and celebrating the fact that you have more skills than you had before. You're more capable of showing up in this way, right? Again, whether it's a free workshop, a post, getting used to talking on your stories, like whatever it might be for you. But learning to celebrate that and letting that effort be enough. Hey there, it's Krista here. If you're a creative business owner that wants to feel more confident in your skills and your ability to create a thriving business, I'd love to invite you to join me for my newest 30-day challenge called The Confident Creative. It's completely free, and inside the Confident Creative Challenge, I'm helping you implement the strategies that will not only help you feel more confident as a creative business owner, but I'm also giving you access into the exact tools that I use to bring in more joy and money to my growing business every day. At the end of the day, our confidence really does affect how much our business can grow. We have to deeply believe in ourselves and feel gratitude for where we are right now if we want to take things to the next level. But oftentimes our doubts, our fears, our worries, our insecurities, all of these things can sometimes take over in our mindset and really keep us playing small. So if you're ready to join me inside the challenge, head on over to heykristamarie.com/challenge. And as soon as you join, you'll get immediate access to the challenge information, the guided PDF workbook, the daily journal prompts, and a beautiful daily checklist to help you track your results. There's honestly no better time to join me than right now. So if you're ready to gain massive clarity, unleash your inner confidence to create that life and business that you're proud of, I can't wait to see you inside the challenge. So again, that's heykristamarie.com/challenge, and I can't wait to see you inside. And I really think when you spend some time focusing on everything that we just talked about, it gives you more space to feel excitement about trying new things and experimenting more in your business. Because how often do we think, right? We put this pressure on ourselves of, I don't want to experiment and try this new thing because if it doesn't produce the results I want, like I'm a failure. Or, oh, I must have done this wrong, or there's something wrong with me, or I'm not skilled enough. We don't like to try things that feel new or that feel scary because we automatically make the results of that thing mean something about us as a person. And here's the honest truth. Sometimes, and I've seen this in my own life, I've seen this with the podcast, I've seen this with reels, I've seen this with posts. Sometimes the things that we think are going to perform really well are actually the things that don't connect with our audience as much and that don't perform as well as we think they will. And sometimes we go really off cuff and just try something new, thinking that it's probably not going to make a difference or it's not going to perform well. And sometimes those random things that we try on and like put out into the world actually perform really well and people connect and engage with. So when we can really embrace this mindset, it gives us space to try new things, to see what resonates most with our audience. And it allows us, more importantly, to untie those feelings that we sometimes tie like our self-worth around how these things are performing. So when we can really embrace this mindset of, you know what, I'm just going to try this and I'm not going to let the results of it mean anything about me or anything about who I am or the skills or what I deserve, right? How much more fulfilling is that going to feel when you can approach marketing from that mindset? And then here's the thing, we're creatives. If you're a photographer, I know you're going to feel this. If you're just a creative online business owner, I know you're going to feel this too. We like to make things look perfect and pretty, right? We love having the perfect grid. We love having everything color coordinated. We feel like it really allows our creativity to thrive. We look at it, it makes us feel good. And all of that is important. You should feel proud of the things that you're putting out there. But my encouragement for you is instead of trying to create the perfect grid, or in Canva, the perfect launch slides, right? Or like the perfect landing page, or like the perfectly branded and curated whatever it is. Instead of focusing on that, what if we allow ourselves space to put some of that to the side and allow ourselves to just show up more genuinely and authentically? And there's two things behind this. Number one, people tend to resonate more with the person behind the screen than the perfectly created graphic or slide or page, whatever it is, right? There have been so many people that I have learned from who had not super great websites when they first built their business, right? But they were still able to build a successful business because people weren't coming to them. I mean, unless you're a website designer, maybe you want to have a perfect website if people are coming to you for a website design, because that's actually selling your product. But if you're not a website designer, people are coming to your page. They want to learn more about you. They want to know about how you can help them. They care a lot less than we tend to give them credit for about how perfectly curated everything looks. And sometimes I think we can use this perfect curation or this perfect grid or this perfect slide as an excuse, right? It's an excuse for us to play small. It's an excuse for us not to launch the thing or not put up the post or not share on Instagram. Like, so often than not, that idea of perfection is something we're just chasing that's unattainable. And also, it doesn't actually make as big of a difference as we think that it will. So that's the first thing that I think this allows us to, kind of be aware of. The other thing that I think is really important to remember, and this is for anyone who is launching offers or services, because I have felt this, I've experienced this, and I know many others that have as well, is that when you take off the pressure of needing everything to be perfect, right? The perfectly curated pitch for your new offer, the perfectly curated launch strategy for your offer. When you take all of that pressure off of needing to have it look or sound or feel a certain way, you give yourself space to show up more authentically and to genuinely connect with your audience. And I know that I have felt this before, right? Whenever you want to put something new out there, whenever you want to launch something or sell something to your audience, we sometimes get so lost in, well, how do I say the right things? Or how do I make sure that I'm talking about it in the right way on my Instagram or in my stories, right? How do I condense it so that people immediately see the value and they want to work with me? We put all of this pressure into needing to sell something. And so we try to create the perfect message or the perfect way of talking about it. But when we can focus less on the perfection side of it, we actually give ourselves space to show up more genuinely and authentically. You can show up on your stories and just speak from your heart. You can talk about the things that matter most to you or that matter most to your clients. And you also start to recognize that when you do this, you can actually talk about your offer more often because you don't have this one script that you have created to talk about it, right? Because once you've talked about it a couple times, you feel like, oh, well, I don't want to just keep repeating myself and saying the same things over and over again. So that's one actual downside of trying to make it sound so perfectly curated. The other side of this is when you just show up and share authentically, genuinely, the things that are important to you, the things that are on your heart, you're able to talk about this offer much more frequently because you're able to just speak from your heart at that time. And yes, you might talk about some of the same topics or some of the same points or key things, but you're talking about it in a unique way each time because you're talking about it from how you feel in that moment. And so there's so many things that we actually gain by taking away that perfection of trying to make it look perfect or like so curated or so well done. There's something to be said about the importance of just showing up authentically and letting it not feel so perfect or so curated. And then I've got two more things that I want to talk about before we wrap up this episode. And the first thing is focusing less on our metrics, right? And so again, I think that we can sometimes have a tendency of diving too far into the weeds of trying to create, a certain amount of followers or trying to gain a certain amount of followers so that when people come to our page, it looks like people like us, right? Or we chase after these shiny numbers or these shiny metrics that make us feel good. But when we're so focused on that, again, we're not really focusing on the things that are actually going to grow our business. And we all know this, right? The number of followers that you have does not equate to more clients or more income in your business. And so when you kind of ditch those shiny numbers, when you can ditch the belief that you have to have some certain amount of email subscribers or Instagram followers in order to be like a legitimate person or a legitimate business owner, it allows us to, again, we talked about this earlier, but kind of think and market ourselves in more out of the box ways, right? Instead of trying to focus on those metrics and those numbers and those shiny things, we get more curious about how can I create really valuable content for my audience? Right? I'm going to put this Instagram post up and I don't care if it doesn't get any likes the day that I post it, right? Because I know that deep down, that's not the thing that matters. What matters is that when someone finds me, when someone connects with me, when they come to my Instagram page because they want to get to know me more, they can still read that content. And if it speaks to them in a really deep way, it's going to make a difference, right? It doesn't really matter how many likes the post has or how many comments it has or whatever. If you're putting out really valuable content that speaks to your audience on a deeper level, they're going to read that post and be like, heck yes, I feel like she sees me, she gets me, this is exactly how I'm feeling, right? And so it allows us to just open up more space for us to produce truly valuable content rather than feeling like we're on this content hamster wheel where we're just constantly having to put out posts or put out content to match the volume that others are putting out. And then lastly, and this one is so important, is remembering to stay in your zone and follow less people in your industry, right? For you, if you're a coach, maybe you follow a lot of coaches and you're constantly inundated with how they're doing things, the posts they're putting up, the reels they're putting up. And all of a sudden you have this voice in your head that's automatically telling you you're not doing enough. This isn't good enough. Why should people care what you have to say? You're not posting as much as this person, or, whatever the voices might say. Remember, unfollowing or muting or whatever it is that you need to do is 100% an okay thing to do. And it's actually really important, because if you allow yourself the space to not focus on anybody else, not focus on your competitors, not focus on what they're doing, your marketing becomes truly authentic. Because again, you're sharing valuable, high quality content that you have created. And you're also gaining that confidence in yourself, right? How easy is it to look at what other people are doing and just mimic or copy them? That doesn't gain our confidence. We don't become a stronger, more confident business owner by kind of mimicking or copying what other people are doing. It's really just creating a watered down version of our own content. And so when you can mute them, unfollow them, like stay in your own zone and create from the place, like your heart, when you can create from that place, you'll notice that your content starts to become more engaging, right? And not because more people are liking it, not because, your numbers are increasing, but people are gonna, when they see your content, they will likely engage with it or feel a connection to you more because you're actually speaking from your heart. And lastly, if you might be like me, when I was first starting off back in the day, I followed people because I did still kind of believe that there was some secret formula, some strategy. There was some secret that some guru knew. And I wanted to follow other people because if they had the secret and they were willing to share it with me, aka have me purchase their program to buy it, I would do it, right? How many courses, how many things did I purchase because I believed that someone else had the secret? The real secret is that there is no secret. And every single person who has a marketing formula or strategy that has worked for them, that they are trying to sell to other people, you have to remember that person likely made a lot of mistakes or had some failed launches or failed things that happened when they were creating this formula. But they've likely taken out those pieces that failed, right? You're not going to buy a course from someone. They're going to be like, great, now have this failed launch. No one teaches that, right? Like that's not a thing that happens. But the reality is that every failed launch that they have, every mistake, quote unquote, that they made, every single time they had to pivot and do something else was all a part of the journey that they needed to do in order to see the success that they saw. And so these secret formulas are flawed because they're only taking the parts that worked and they're not including any of the rest of their journey that was actually crucial for them to see the actual success that they saw. So I want you to remember that, is that if you're following people because you're still kind of believing that there's this secret or strategy or this thing that you'll be able to buy that will be able to let you see the success that they saw, just remembering that that's unfortunately not how it works. And the way that you're going to see long-lasting success is by trying things on for size. Everything that we talked about today, right? Getting comfortable, getting creative, getting comfortable thinking outside the box, getting comfortable doing things that other people maybe aren't doing, and detaching yourself from the numbers, the metrics, like the stories in your head, right? Being able to detach yourself from that is going to be the thing that helps you see long-term success in your marketing, in your business, in your mental health. Like this is the stuff that really makes a difference. I hope that this was helpful to kind of just do a quick recap. So how to eliminate some of the overwhelm that we feel in our marketing strategy. Number one, define the intentions around how you're using each of your platforms. How do you want to use Instagram? How do you want to show up on it? And how do you want to spend your time on Instagram, for example? Number two is when you have that better understanding of how you want to use the platforms, how can you then take the time that you're saving and focus more on creating genuine relationships with the people on that platform? And then number three, focusing less on the results and more on the effort, the time and the energy and the effort that you're putting in and the skills that you're growing along the way. And then number four, having excitement to experiment with things, right? Like being okay with trying things. If they fail, it's okay, but giving yourself space to be able to experiment and get curious to see what might perform well and what may not perform well. And again, it's okay if it doesn't perform well or hit your metrics, right? The whole thing is you tried and you gave yourself that space to be curious. And then number five, getting rid of the perfect grid, getting rid of the idea of the perfectly curated launch page, website, whatever it is, and just letting yourself show up genuinely and authentically. Number six, focusing less on those shiny numbers and the metrics and allowing yourself to think of out-of-the-box ways that you can grow. And then number seven, staying in your zone, unfollowing people, kind of giving yourself the space that you need to be able to feel truly creative without feeling like you need to mimic or copy or do the same thing that other people are doing. And so I hope that this was helpful. I know that marketing can be so stressful, and it's something, like I said in the beginning, we deal with this every day in our business. And it's something that I have had to continue to work on and grow, which is why I, even as a coach, I work with a coach very regularly, because this is something that I am still learning to adapt and learning to implement day to day in my own strategy. And so if you're like, Krista, I need some help with this. Like, I would love to be able to have someone to help me gain clarity on what types of marketing I should be putting out there. You know, a lot of my clients, I work with them to help them figure out what is the content that you have deep inside of you, right? Like, let's turn off everybody else, like turn off their pages, like let's meet their pages. Let's not pay attention to what they're doing. Let's dive deep and figure out what is the content that you can provide that's going to be unique to you that people are going to be drawn to. And so if that's you, I would love to schedule a call and chat, whether it's one-on-one coaching, whether it's Amplify, my group coaching program. I would love to see if this is something that we can help you with and help you strengthen. So go to heykristamariee.com. You'll see there's ways that we can work together. There's a contact page. You can send me an email. I would love to chat more with you about how we can make marketing feel easy and less overwhelming. So all of that said, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. One last thing before you go. I'd absolutely love it if you left a review on Apple Podcasts. Or if you've already left a review, I'd love for you to share this episode with your business bestie. I love getting to shout out my listeners on the show, and the more listeners that we have, the more that I can help others create a thriving and sustainable business too. Thank you so much again for being a part of this community, and I can't wait to hear your takeaways from today's episode.